Welcome everybody. This is kind of my pilot video, and I will be showing you kind of around my yard. This is my backyard, so these are some of the different projects I have going on. You can see this building to my left. That is going to be what I call my tiny house. It's a mother-in-law suite, 1 bedroom upstairs with 1 bath downstairs, living room, kitchenette, that sort of thing. Behind me, this was all filled with trees. I've cleared all these trees out. I do repurpose all of the wood that I work with, so some of it gets milled down into lumber, some of it's firewood, which we use in our fireplace for winter warmth. Some of it's used in the garden for building in the garden, so everything gets repurposed 100%. Even the branches and everything else get mulched and then used as ground cover. So I use 100% of the trees I take down, and I try to conserve as many trees as I can around my property, which is a fully wooded 1 acre lot. So let me show you around a couple of projects I have going on. So here's the door we just came in, leads to the outdoors, and if you were to walk in and turn left, I'm going to put a couple closet doors in here. I've decided to change the way I'm doing that, so all of that's going to get framed a little bit different. This was a pre-existing garage where you see that those insulation bats back there. That was a double garage door swung open. Swinging garage doors that opened out. They're still there. Garage doors are still there. I just framed inside it and then filled it in with insulation. This window, I added that window when I started this project a few years ago. And if I swing around the opposite way, so there's the front door. Just past that blue container there, that's a stairwell that goes up. I created this door opening right here that leads into what will be a full bath. So there'll be a full bath back there. And on the front side of this wall right here will be a little kitchenette. And so this will be the living room space. Alright, I'll come over, show you the stairwell. And here are the stairs right here that lead up toward the second floor. The second floor was finished as an office space before, and I'm changing that into the bedroom for this mother-in-law suite. So let's go ahead and walk up these stairs. See, I've started some electrical work here up top. I had to tear all that drywall out because I had to move some light fixtures. I'll show you that in a minute. Alright, so now we're at the top of the stairs. You can see I pulled all of the drywall out of the top center section. And that's because when I was putting this wall in right here, those lights were centered. And that's exactly where that wall hits. Center. I can come this way and show you a little bit easier. Center, it would have hit right on the lights. So I had to move the lights over to create a hallway type space right here. This first door opening, and you can see kind of where the floor outline is. This was going to be a half bath for the second floor. I've since decided that this wall right here, I'm going to take this wall out and just open that up as part of the closet. If we come around, I have another door opening over here. You can see that. And that was going to be the closet door opening. I'm just going to enclose that up, and then there will be one door in the closet on the other side. So this is the second floor. Pretty simple layout. This is the bedroom area right here. Messy. What I'm going to do today is clean all this up, rearrange some things, get it cleaned out a little bit, and get ready to start doing some work again. Alright, welcome to my backyard. I decided to give you a walkabout and an idea of some of the different projects I have going on. And there are a lot of them. Alright, so this is looking at the back of my house right here. And you see all this deck, this lower deck right here? Let me actually zoom out here so you can see it all. It's rotting away anyway, so I don't really care about this, but all of this has to come out. My little wood pile, you can't really tell because of all the leaves and bark off the wood and everything else, but actually underneath all of this there is stone, and I've got to tear all that up. All of this has to come out, these steps, and then I'll go up on my deck, and you see that line right there, that line right there? Everything on that side of the line gets to stay. So all of that deck over to the grill, following that line, that gets to stay. All the rest of this on the other side, all of this deck over here, coming across, down and into my gazebo, all of that has to come out. Because the problem is my septic tank, which starts right over there, and that's my septic tank area where you see those flags. That's my septic tank. My leach lines, let me find the flags here, come down. You have this blue flag right here. That's where my leach lines come out, and it goes out to where that blue flag is over there, but then it circles back around. I actually have two lines that come in here, a blue, I call them the blue line, the yellow line, because they're marked with yellow flags and blue flags, and they come over, and you see one trampled blue flag that goes right under the deck. We come over towards the wood pile, there's another flag right there, and that blue line goes right up underneath my deck. It circles around, goes under the gazebo, and then that blue flag you see over there, that's where it comes back out. The yellow line comes down. You see that yellow flag there? Comes in, goes under this little wood pile right here where that yellow flag is, and it's right next to my deck. It loops around that tree, and then both of them go back out into that area, and that's where they leach out to. So the code says that your deck post can't be within 5 feet of any of your leach lines. And evidently a previous owner of this house built this deck and didn't get it permitted. Allegedly, that's still up to debate in my opinion, but because of that, to get this project done I want to do, I have to tear all of that deck out. So I came out with a new deck plan. And let me just show you why I have to take so much of my deck out. Coming around here in my yard. So here are the blue flags. See them there? Right next to all those fence posts. They are planted right in my leach line. That fence post right there is more than 5 feet away from the closest flag. So the leach line comes right up underneath this deck right here, and then turns and goes right up under the gazebo back out. So that's original deck where those posts are. That post right there, that one right there, and then let this focus in. I got another one back there. Those three. And you can see the support, the girder support on there, and you can see, let me get in here, where the deck comes out to. You can see where the addition, right here where the addition started. So if you look up here on the deck, that's right where oops, sorry, I got right in front of the post there. This crease is that basically splits this deck in half. So all that has to go. My new deck, let me walk back a little bit, will come right off where the grill is. You can see kind of where the railing drops. Everything to the left of that, the higher part, that stays. Everything to the right of that goes. My new deck will come out straight off of that. It'll turn and follow the house over to the chimney, and then come straight out past the AC units by about 4 feet, and then it'll go out that way, pretty good ways, maybe 14 feet, and come back up and then back and then tie back in. Then off of this side of it, so I'm gonna follow around where that gazebo is. If you basically pick that up and moved it over to this area right here, that's where my gazebo is gonna go, my new gazebo. Those pink lines are flags that you see right there. Those are not anything to do with my current leach line. That's part of my repair field. So I can't build over there, but I can build in this area right here in front of it, as long as I'm outside of 5 feet of that. So there's one project I have. What I have to do, what the county said I had to do, is draw the structural plans for my new gazebo, and then I have to have someone from Environmental Services come out and inspect and make sure I'm allowed to leave that old deck, and let them know I'm tearing out all this other deck, and then they'll give me approval for my permits. Then I'll have to tear out the old deck, have them come out and inspect it. They can see that the old deck is gone. Then I will have to build my new deck and have that inspected as well. So, and then I can go ahead and start on my other project too. So that's one project I have going on. Here is a little project I did actually a couple years ago. My neighbor's dog and our dog get along really well, and we get along with our neighbor too, which is unusual. So I built a gate. A gate is built out of pallet wood. The posts and the little pergola top I actually made out of some cedar trees I took down over where my garden is now. Let me get down low so you can kind of see the way that is. What we want to do, the neighbor and I want to grow some sort of vine up that and let it just grow over the top of it. But I built that gate so we can let our dogs play together. And I have a path that's kind of hard to see right now that basically encompasses the yard, and it goes, I can get my finger in here, right up through here, comes around those trees you see right there, back around by the deck, and comes around. Then I have another path that cuts down through here, and then the path I'm on actually continues back around the property this way, which will follow this around. Now, part of the area where my leach field is, when it rains, plus with the moisture from the leach of my sewer lines, it gets really muddy back here, and the dogs love it. My wife does a doggy daycare business. That little puppy you saw earlier is one we're watching. And so what I did, because this gets so soppy and muddy back here, is I took some pallet wood and I built this little pallet wood, little walking path, just to keep us up out of the mud. I just used logs that I fell from trees. None of the logs are straight. They're all crooked. So this thing waves and everything else, but it keeps our feet out of the mud. So I'm happy. Well, the dogs still get up in here and dig mud puddles like the one you see right here with the board sunken in it. So we put sticks and wood and other things out here. It's good for the environment. It'll decompose, but it covers up the mud, and try to keep the dogs out of it with it. So we do the best we can. But this is a nice little walk path I have here, and it comes around, and all these holes you see, that's where the dogs they get a ball stuck under there, and they will actually tear the planking off of this thing. And so all of the holes you see, that's from the dogs tearing it up, trying to get to those balls. Oh, my mushrooms. These, I'm not trying to grow these, I just am. These are oyster mushrooms, which are edible. Right now, you can't eat them. These are all old and stale. But these are edible mushrooms right here. So, see, it's really hard to break off. Man, these were so white when they were first coming out in the fall. But look at that. You do not want to eat that now. So, yeah. So I have a nice little bench here. Looks out to the property behind me. I would love to purchase all of this property and then just sit on it, do nothing with it. Maybe I would hunt on it. I might put a pond out there, stock it with some fish or something. There's a creek actually that runs back behind there. You can't really tell from the video, but it goes out about where my finger is out there. There's a line right there, and then it just drops down. It goes down into a creek. And right down there would be a great place to dam up the creek, put in a little fish pond, stock it with some fish. I love fish, so very healthy for you. So my little path comes around. Another project I have going on. It's right around the corner here, so just to show you, this path leads right back up to my house there. I can easily walk straight out and bam, there's my compost pile. All this stone you see right here, this will all go into my garden as part of the walking path. There's actually more stone there than what it looks like because it's covered in leaves and everything else. That's just stone I found laying around my yard, around my property. It's really great. My full compost, I've got one that's ready to put in the garden. One that's I'm still dumping food in. It's pretty full right now. This is why I haven't dumped that shredded paper in it yet. It's just too full. And I can't really do a heat compost pile because it needs to be really at least 4 feet high for it to get hot enough in the middle to break everything down. And so what I'm going to do is do 4 posts. I'm actually going to do 3 bays. So I'll have this bay, and where the rock is, I'll do 1 more bay. I'm going to do posts in the ground. I'm going to build it up with some wood. On the front, on the sides and the back, it'll be permanently built, framed in. On the front, it'll be slats so I can slide in and out. So as I'm throwing stuff in the compost, I can put slats in and build it up, and then just pull them all out to be able to shove it all out. So the way I'm doing 3 bays is to be able to turn my compost. So I will do my new compost here. When I turn it once, it'll go into the second bay here. When I turn it the third time, it'll go into third bay, and that'll be my finishing bay. So anything that's in the second bay, I don't add new compost to it. I always throw the new compost in the first bay. Second bay is to let it heat up and break down, and third bay is the finishing bay, let it finish off there, and then that's the compost I'll use in my garden. I did buy some dirt for my garden beds because I'm doing raised beds, and I had this dirt pile dumped in my front yard, and I needed that area for parking my truck. There's just too many people that live in my house. So me and my wife brought all of the dirt back here. We dumped it back here. The wood that you see behind it, I did a wattle fence in my garden. I'll show you some pictures of that. And that's all the sticks I was using for the wattles. I ended up tearing all that out. I used the wrong kind of wood anyways. It lasted me about 3 years. It's not bad. That's what I was hoping to get out of it, but they became real brittle. Again, we watched dogs. The dogs were tearing at the sticks, putting big holes in the garden. It just wasn't doing anything anymore. Plus, I needed to move my garden bed anyways, with all the work I'm doing. So, back on the path. It continues on around across my property here. And as you can see, let me look back across my property. My lot is very wooded, very densely and heavily wooded, and I love it. I don't want to take all my trees down. So when you hear me talking about taking trees down in my garden here, or for my garden, these few trees I have left here to take down around my gas tank, it's not that I'm not even depleting 10% of the trees on my property. I've got so many trees around my property. Let me come back up here a little closer. So there's my garden beds that I built in another video. I am going to mill some wood and build a little shed around my gas tank here. It'll be my garden shed. It'll look just like the house right there. So everything's matchy-matchy, looks good. That keeps the wife happy. Happy wife means happy life. So I'll build a shed around this gas tank here, and it'll be big enough that the gas company can get in and refill my propane tank. Also, so I can keep some gardening tools in there, which is real close to my garden right here. Looking back across my property, look at all them trees. I mean, it is just beautiful here. I have so many trees around my property, and I do not want to take them all out. I love the trees, but I got to take some of them out to get sunlight in my garden because I love my garden too. What I want to do, where this post is right here, off my garden, let me back up so you can see. I'm going to carry that fence out eventually right along here, and it's going to come all the way over. This is about 30 feet long where my little temporary bridge is. It's going to come back up and tie into that gate that you see right there. It'll tie in right there. So this raised bed will be inside the garden, and then I'll take all of this fencing out right here. And all of this area you see in here, I'll do some more raised beds all the way back up to the garden, so that'll expand my garden out a little bit. As you know, everything on the other side of that fence, it's where I'm doing my milling, and I've taken out a bunch of trees, and that will all be food forest, so I'm planting trees back into the ground. Another thing I have to do, another project before I can get my inspections, where I tied my sewer line in. My son reburied this right before we had a hurricane, because I was afraid if this filled up with water, and I'm so close to my inlet into my septic tank, I was afraid all that water would seep in and could cause sewage issues in my septic system. So we filled that in with dirt. I've got to dig all that back out. Some of the dirt has caved in around the pipe right here. I got to dig that out. I've got leaves and pine needles and everything else that have built up all through here. I've got to dig all of those out. Also, this clean out that I've installed here, you can see if I get down close, it sticks out of the ground by a couple feet. I do need to cut that back down so it's closer to the ground. I was going to do some landscape stuff here, and I left it tall until I could figure out exactly how I was going to landscape all of this, because if I raised the ground level, I needed to be able to have that pipe extended up enough where I didn't bury it. I do have a couple clean outs in here from the septic line there. I got to clean out here. This comes along, that's where my gas will tie in. I have a gas line there that will tie in, that runs to the house. There's another clean out right here. Then let me come around, see if I can get in a good position to look up here. I haven't put it in yet, but I will do another clean out right about where you see that pipe sticking out right there. That's just laying on the ground, but I'll probably put a clean out right there too. And then it'll run up into the building right over there. So I still got to cut a hole through the cinder block. That's going to be tricky. Got to cut a hole in the cinder block for the sewage pipe. Let's come back around. At my gate. Oh, all of this ditch has to get filled in after I get it inspected. This gate, I was in the middle of building a pergola here and stopped, and I've got to fix these posts. They're really ugly. Let's see if I can get a good shot of it. just the way I put that together. I just am not happy with it. It's just tacked on temporarily. I gotta fix those before I build the rest of it. This gate's getting redone, by the way. It's a temporary gate. Walking through all of these beds you see right here, I need to get my power washer fixed, power wash these, get all the gunk off them, and then I'm going to do a whitewash on them. Same thing with my pergola, the new gate I put in. Oh, I'm building a horizontal fence where these temporary fences are. I'll build a horizontal fence in between those posts. And same thing on this side. Right here where this temporary bridge is, and you can see just these ditches just fill up with water. That is a 2.5 foot ditch, and it is just completely full of water. Frogs love it. Where the edge of the bridge is right here, over to the building, I have to dig the rest of that out and somehow dig a hole underneath that crawl space, which it is only about 18 inches high on this side of the building. I have to get in there and dig straight down to tie into the hole so I can attach or connect my water line in there. And this is where my cold water is going to run up this ditch along here. We'll turn right there and cut back into the building that I'm building right here. So a lot of projects. As I showed you before, we'll walk back over to the front of the house. Come around here. Lots of projects going on in here. I got more wood that I've got to mill back here for building my garden beds. I've got some wood in here. Some of this is going to get milled down to lumber. Some of this is going to get processed into firewood. That little pile over there get processed into firewood. These two stumps right here, these are cedar stumps. And I started to cut the bottom off of this because that is going to be the base to a bench I'm going to build, a cedar bench. And then this other stump you see right here, I did the same thing with it. If I turn it over here, you can see I started cutting on it here. That is going to be also the base on the other side of the bench I'm going to build, which will be out near the garden. So I've got to cut those up before they start deteriorating, clean them up, get them sealed. A lot of work to do. So I'm all set up here. I moved my sawhorse closer to my wood pile, so I don't have to carry the boards quite so far when I'm cutting them up for the garden. Still got to move that dirt from that dirt pile into the garden beds. You can see where I'm at milling this lumber up here. I have no dirt to put in my garden beds yet, so I still got to fill those up so I can build the next set of beds. And what I'll probably do tomorrow, weather's supposed to be really nice, so what I'll probably end up doing is taking this little tree down, taking that giant tree next to it down. Both of those should fell back this way. Shouldn't interfere with anything else I have going on. And then if I have time and the energy, I will take that poplar down too. And the wood from that poplar tree and the wood from this poplar tree I'm going to use to build my dining room table. So that's another project I have going on. I've got to mill that wood up, get it in a place where it can dry properly and cure so that I can put that table together. It's going to take, if I mill it first, it'll take about a year to 18 months for that wood to cure properly. So a lot of projects going on. Then after I finish all of these projects, tearing out the old deck, building the new deck, remodeling this building right here, then I still have to build a fence up here in front of where my food forest is going to go. I got to dig all these stumps out too, by the way. My kayaks, I got to get those out this summer, this spring and summer. Right where the corner of this building is right here. I'm going to dig this area out a little bit, put a retaining wall in right here that will go up all along this building. I'm going to do some posts on the top part of that retaining wall, which will come back up in a pergola type structure tied back into this building. I'll grow grapevines up those posts, and over the top of that there'll be a pretty little walk area underneath that window with a gate right here at the front of it, and then going straight back to that fence right there, and it'll tie in right here at this fence post on the fence. I'm going to do a nice little fence along here just to keep deer and other animals out of my food forest, or try to keep them out of my food forest, and then landscape and plant all of this in here. So a lot of work going on, which is why I decided to start doing these videos, because I think these projects are neat, they're fun, I enjoy them. When I talk to other people about them, they always seem interested, and there might be other people out there that are interested that could learn from what I'm doing, that I can learn from as you share feedback. So hopefully we can share insight together and learn together and grow together and do some awesome things together. So thanks for watching. Hope you liked this video. If you did, then hit like, subscribe, ring the bell so that you get alerts on future videos I post as soon as I post them. For now, have a great evening, and I'll see you in the next video.